Well, we have seen and covered much of the impact of U.S. tariffs and the negotiations. For Kusma, our next guest, will take us through a recap of that and what to possibly expect as we head into 2026. We are joined now by Jacques Shore, Government Affairs and Trade Specialist at Gowling WLG. And Jacques, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be with you, Roger. Thank you.
What can you sum up this year in a word?
Well, that's hard because I think that basically students of the economics, political science, government affairs, trade will be studying this year for a long time. It's been a remarkable year, but I'm going to give it a go. First of all, when I look at it, the year essentially started off effectively with a seismic shift as a result of the election in the United States with Donald Trump coming in. And to a great extent, that affected the world order and really dominated, I think, our Canadian political landscape as well. I mean, remarkable, as we saw, amazing rise of Mark Carney as our prime minister in the face of that, because I think Canadians recognize there could be a looming crisis ahead. Mm-hmm. So there's been a lot of work on since then, and really changing, I think, the dynamics of how we look at the world and how we basically look at ourselves. I'm actually quite pleased in the way we've addressed it. Let's remember that we started off essentially with a throne speech once the new Liberal government came in. And it basically said the true north is indeed strong and free. So we started off with something recognizing we had to look to ourselves, we had to strengthen ourselves. And then we came up with the One Economy Act that would actually create major projects that we would need to deal with. And obviously, we got caught up in a very significant, how can I say, set of changes with respect to our trading partner, imposing on us very significant trade tariffs, steel, aluminum, lumber. You just look at some of those key areas, autos, what that's done. It's upended us to a great extent. But at the same time, remarkably, we are looking to addressing those things. We're not looking to diminishing, I think, the trade relationship we have with the United States. I hope it grows. I expect it should grow. We've got CUSMA negotiations coming up. But we've been diversifying our trade in the way in which we have been reaching out to other corners of the world, to Europe, to the Indo-Pacific. These are countries that I think we can look to because we can rely on them if that's what we're going to do to grow it. We have a target in the next 10 years to increasing our trade to $600 billion. But that's in 10 years. So there's a fair bit of work that has to be done until then. So that is to a great extent on that trade side. And essentially, I can also say, as we look to the United States right now, look, there are other elements that we can look to, even just recently, the U.S. national security strategy that came out, which gives us some pause. I mean, I think, and I've shared with others, let's remember that we're very active in NORAD. Let's remember that we are partners in many ways. But this is also another, how can I say, glimpse at the way in which the Americans are looking at the world, and gives a sense how we have to look at them. I still say they are our allies, they are our friends, and we just have to look to the last 40 years, which has been incredible in terms of our trade relationship. But we're careful. And I think that we have to understand that there are risks out there. There is uncertainty. There is unpredictability to some extent. But we're going about it, I think, in a very sensible way at this moment.
Now, it's been, I guess, 8 months since all of this really started to unfold. Reaching out for trade, are we starting to see results for developing trade outside of North America, outside of the U.S. as our partner?
So my sense is yes, while we haven't necessarily concluded, how can I say, arrangements completely as we would want them to, we know that there is a focus on that. But I'm going to also shift to the fact that we understand that our relationship with Europe is extremely important. Just recently, we concluded an agreement with them that touches on basically security matters. And I think that's important. On the trade side, the meetings, just think about the number of visits actually our prime minister has taken to different parts of the world to actually deal with trade. Someone just the other day, mentioned that our prime minister is more of a merchant. I mean, is certainly a banker, but very much a merchant in terms of wanting to open up those doors. And so I think that is happening. There's much, much more activity, certainly, as we're looking at Germany, as we're looking at Italy, as we're looking at countries that in the past Switzerland that have really now taken a step. I was just in Switzerland a short while ago, meeting with potential investors there. And our trade commissioners are actively engaged. We've just made a significant commitment in our recent budget for enhanced funding for those efforts abroad. So this is moving, I think, in the right direction. I basically would say, is it moving fast enough? And I think that there is an element there that we have to really seriously look at how we've addressed things in the past. We have issues that we've got to address. We've got regulatory burden, we've got red tape, unnecessary red tape in a number of instances that don't make us all that, how can I say, palatable, perhaps, as a country to invest in because of some of those difficulties. But I believe we are basically looking at them. Can we deal with them quickly enough? I hope. I think that that's a challenge. We still have our internal trade barriers. I know that that was something that the Prime Minister and the Premiers basically made a commitment to actually address fully. They are. But again, it's one of those things that I think we have to press our politicians to make it happen. If we really talk about a one Canada economy, then it really means that the provinces, along with our federal government, have to align, and they have to recognize that the challenges we see today are not like we've seen in decades. So they have to come together on that.
Okay, we'll have to wrap it up there, Jacques. But thank you very much, as always, for joining us. Have a wonderful holidays, and we'll see you in 2026.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Roger, and wishing you the best as well.
That was Jacques Shore, Government Affairs and Trade Specialist at Gowling WLG.